Hi, I'm Holly Carlisle. Welcome to my studio, Rose Golden in Avondale. I'm really excited to have Studio by the Tracks with me today. We are going to be making a seasonal sketch out of items that I found around here or by the side of the road. When you're working on a seasonal sketch and you go collect your materials, you start to sort of study the nature of each of the materials. Like, what is it that this does that makes it unique, really? It's really kind of a meditation on the materials and sort of the harmonies that I can find. It's all about interesting shapes and just using materials that you have. The first thing that I saw that was interesting to me when I went outside were these really fluffy grasses. Let's see, I'm gonna make a mess. Can you see them? And then I found these little flowers. These are, a lot of people would call these weeds, you know, and would pull them up out of the ground and try to get rid of them. These, you might be thinking, why is there a broom on the table? But this is just white muhly grass that I dried a couple of years ago. These begonia leaves are all about color to me, you know, and I think, well, they were inspired to be on this table because of this one red blade of grass that I found, and I thought that it was so pretty, so I wanted to bring in some of this green that we see in the grass blades and then some of the red from the blade that we see here. So I also like to think about things like this. You have, everything has a quality. This is also a grass. This one is much more bold in its sort of presentation. So I like to sort of identify what qualities I like about it, each material, and then really play those up. Like, I would never take a grass and cut it all down and use it really short because grasses are tall. You know, so I like to keep them tall. Another kind of grass over here that's hazy, but it has a spectrum of sort of color tones that you'll see through it, from like an oatmeal to an acid green. Then I have some, I believe this is broom corn. Okay, what I did was I just took a bowl. This method of using a vessel and chicken wire and tape, you can use with a bowl, you can use with a pitcher, you can use with like a vase. This is chicken wire right here, and you can get it at the hardware store. You might have some in your basement, you never know. You just want something that's like a metal kind of a grid that you can bend into different shapes. So like this one I take and I ball it up into, make it into like a little ball, and then I take the insides and kind of poke them up into the center of it. And then I press it down into the bowl, and then I tape over it, and then I tape all around the tape. You're going to take pieces and go across and go down a little bit on the lip right here of your vessel. But because you don't want to have your tape all the way coming down here, but you want it to be secure, you're going to really press it down on the sides, and then you're going to go around this 2 or 3 times really taut with the tape so that you can hold the chicken wire and the tape will hold it onto your vessel. Obviously the dried things don't need water, but every other material that you're going to use, especially flowers, love to be in water. And I'm, you know, particularly kind of intentional about using traditional mechanics like chicken wire, a flower frog, or just a taped vessel because there's no waste involved, as opposed to using something like flower foam, which is not biodegradable and kind of harsh to the earth and to your own person. Okay, so when I get started, I really like to think about like what I have, probably that's the most architectural thing to start with, maybe the thing that's toughest to get in. I'm really drawn to maybe these blades of grass that I talk about being important in here, so I'm gonna get started with this. And I'm just weaving in between like the little holes in the chicken wire. And really, just as long as you give it a fresh cut, before you put it in, you're fine. All stems, when you cut them, once oxygen starts to hit the tissue, they really start to seal against the air. And so then if you don't cut it again, how will it get the water that it needs? Okay, so I like this sort of bold grass move in here, but now I want to like create masses of grass that are woven within this. So I'm going to pick up some of this muley. I don't know how technical this is, but I just cut off pieces in a bunch and kind of shove them in where I want them. Okay, and what this reminds me of quite a bit, the haziness, is this smoke bush that I have saved for 2 years. But it is such a unique ingredient. So I'm gonna start layering this in to the fluff cloud. Okay, so we're gonna fluff this out really hard over here. And I think it's just sort of like representing on this side what is dead, but still very much full of character, you know, and then the burgeoning new growth on this side. So we're gonna sort of work that angle a little bit. Okay, let me check out the rest of this muley. Sometimes I just throw things onto the floor. Okay, I'm gonna turn this. I have a lazy Susan, you guys. That's a really crucial, important part of arranging flowers. You're not just making like one side of something and then making the other side. A lot of flower arranging is about dimension, just like any other kind of sculptural study that you're working on. So, I mean, I'm just making sure there's enough muley grass in this so you can see it. So I'm doing about 6 or 7 bunches in on different planes. Okay, now we have to sort of think about this divide here. Now I'm gonna take some of these other grasses that I gathered where I love seeing the spectrum from the ruddy oatmeal to the acid green. And I mean, you guys, you can totally sit here and put in one stem at a time if you would like to. It is your meditation. But for me, with grasses that, especially these kind of ethereal ones that are real hazy, and there's just no point in that. So you might as well bunch it, cut it, and put it in. It's going to be reminiscent of the haze from what was left from winter. But it has a bright green stem, and that really meets up with the blades of grass. Well, so you want those to marry. I have to say that this is not really about making it pretty or having it look good. This is about connecting to the material more than anything. Looking cool, let's turn it. I'm gonna take a bit real short, whoops. Then I'm gonna think about how maybe I could have something in this negative space that I've created. I would like to try working with the begonia leaves. I have one stem of this particular begonia, a beauty, from side to side. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these smaller ones that are the ruddiest and most colorful, and I have the most stems of those, so I'm gonna run them in my vein. Let's see. I always am really mindful of what my stem length is, with something. So I don't want to take something has a nice amount of stem length and like cut it all off for no reason. So I like to try to use things as they are as much as I can. Let's turn it. When I place things in to get in the vessel, and you might have noticed this, I almost like do it in waves where I use like one material and then I move to the next material. And then I move to the next, and I don't always adhere to that, but I do tend to do it with the sketches. It just makes me really attentive of, what the character traits of these things are. I'm gonna start focusing on the front, this being the front. So I'm gonna cut this down a little bit. Put that in. I'm gonna revisit my smoke bush just a little bit as kind of a central filler. There we go. And then I will take little wee pieces of these grasses and have those emerge just from the top. Oh, I love grass. I don't know why. We've gotten so much out of grass in so many different ways in this arrangement. We have the delicate grass. We have the massed haze. We have the big, bold, both red and green blades. When you work with Johnson grass, this is Johnson grass, and it has these big blades, you usually only need like 2 pieces of it. Otherwise, it's like blade salad. Okay, so let's just take this and have this kind of come out here. And we'll give it some frinds because we've kind of blended the smoke bush and the grass. So let's give it some grass buddies. Sometimes I'll take my bunch of grass and I'll like arrange it in my hand so that it's coming out on different planes. And then these are just so cute, and I think they're very expressive. With a flower like this, I always think a lot of it is about the stem. So you really want to still see the stem. So let the stem be visible. So we're going to sort of work this in a little bit in the center. Once you have this many things in your chicken wire, you'll notice that it's kind of a big jumble. It's given itself pretty much essentially more structure. If you have trouble getting something in, you want to twist it back and forth while you put it in. You want to take it out, same thing when you're working in chicken wire. Okay, so I really want these to be fun and to be like little accent marks throughout. And I think we'll be done when we have two, like one here and one here. Ta-da! So when you go to make your sketch, all you need is a vessel. You can use clear tape. This is like florist tape, clear tape, but really, if you're at home and all you have is a vase, a mason jar, a cup, just take some gift wrap tape, and tape off a grid, and then tape around the edges of that tape, fill it with water, and you're good to go. You might find some chicken wire. You can make a base and a bowl, kind of a vessel like I did today. But that's all you need to get started. So let's see how I think this is cool. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today. I hope that you'll visit studiobythetracks.org so that you can make a donation or become a member of such a valuable organization that does such important work in our community.